oh, how am I going to pay this guy this amount every week? Work, 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 nothing else. We had a massive argument because I actually couldn't commit. What did I need to do? I need to do that. And you just go crazy.
Hey, welcome to the Tradies Success Podcast. On this podcast, you're going to hear real life stories from trade business owners to minimize the mistakes you're going to make, maximize profit, create more time freedom, and minimize emotional overwhelm. So hit subscribe and follow us now and enjoy the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to the Tradies Success Podcast. Here today with Chris Gelonesi from Beachside Electrical Solutions. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
No worries, Greg. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Man, before we started the show, you told me this story about this moment in your life where you're about to go on a trip. Can you share that with the listeners? I'd love for you to just share that experience because I think it was really powerful, that message.
Yeah, sure. So I was with my wife or girlfriend at the time, and she was working for a travel agency and got offered this 5-star, all-expensive paid safari trip to South Africa, and they said that you could bring your partner along. And this was back in the day where, you'd be working and you'd just be thinking that everything revolved around work and nothing else mattered. So I was very much in that mindset. And we had a massive argument because I actually couldn't commit and to go to this trip, which was, let's just say, around 5 months away from the actual date that we were chatting, because I was too worried about potentially or not potentially winning this project that I had and being able to do it or not do it. So I was actually willing to sacrifice this crazy experience to make sure that I put work first, even though that job was never guaranteed from the start.
Oh my God. It brings back so many memories for myself as well. And this might be, no, can't go out to dinner this weekend. It could be, I don't want to commit to that trip in a year's time because what ifs, right? There's so many what ifs in the business. And so what size business were you when that happened?
So back then I think I had one apprentice. So I was still relatively small. So I was still wearing, absolutely every hat there was possible. But yeah, even though that I was so small, it could have possibly even still been a little bit easier to break away because there wasn't so much that really had to be done while I was away, but I just couldn't see anything apart from, no, can't go on that date, got a potential project, it might start, I can't say no to it because, if I'd said no to work back then, I was the devil in my head apparently. And it ended up having the chance, I had the opportunity and I almost missed out on going to the opportunity because of work.
Man, it's so common though. I've talked to so many people that go through the exact same challenge in their mind. I can't go away for a week. I can't do that. I can't commit to things that aren't work. So what was life like for you at that time? Obviously, people are going, why wouldn't you jump at that? Especially someone that hasn't experienced what it's like to be in business or to be that deep in, the business. So what was life like for you at that stage? What did a typical day or a week look like?
Working every chance that there was. Because we only had the apprentice on, I was really keen to try to build up a lot of that work. It was just literally every Saturday I'd be working, there'd be Sundays I'd be working, there would be on the weekend, or the weekdays, I'd be doing overtime if I had to I'd be saying yes to everything. So it was really a stage of work, nothing else. And if we had family functions on the weekend, and if I had jobs on, I wouldn't be going to the functions. I'd put work first and I'd make sure that I'd go to work.
If you were forced to go to those functions, how did you feel?
Oh, you feel guilty that you should be working. It's crazy. Yeah.
I remember that. It's just, yeah. And it speaks to, I know so many of the listeners will be listening going, yeah, I feel like that too. And so, this is reality, right? We don't think that it's going to be that intense when we start business. We think we're going to start a business, we're going to have all this time and flexibility and we won't have to work all the time. It's going to be great. And then you're faced with, this pull from clients, from your apprentice being there at 7:30 in the morning. You got to go to work, and you got to keep them at work until 4 o'clock, and all those things. So what changed for you? What was the big moment that helped you realize that this was actually a problem and not sustainable long term?
The biggest mindset that would have changed how I looked on work would have been when my wife and I had our son, Noah. So he's just over 2 now. So 2 years ago, again, I'd be working every single Saturday if I needed to. I'd be working late if I needed to. He was born and it was he was about 6 weeks old. And I just woke up to myself one day and said, well, I'm coming home in the afternoons and he's always asleep. On Saturdays, I'm working all day, coming home, and then again, he's asleep. And then on Sundays, we'll be visiting, my parents or her parents. They all want to see him. When the hell am I going to see my kid? That was really the big brain snap and said, hang on a minute, something's got to change. And from that day, I thought that. I literally said, my guys are not working overtime and we're not working Saturdays anymore. And it's stuck from then on.
That strict scheduling, we call it bulletproof schedule in the academy, but that strict scheduling creates so many opportunities, eh? Like you're forced to not just work every minute, you're forced to make decisions that actually result in growth. So you would have experienced that, right? Because what's your business now? Like how big is your business now? What are you working on at the moment?
There's 6 of us in total, plus we've literally just put on a full-time VA, which will be help.
Yeah.
We're going down the road of putting on another couple of tradies. So for me, I'm completely off the tools. I'm in the office just trying to do all of the office admin. That's why the VA is going to hopefully try to help a little bit. And even though we're not working any overtime and any Saturdays, we're still getting jobs done. We're still busier than ever. It's just kind of like, you don't need to work 24 hours a day.
And you've learned to manage your workload with resources now, not you just working longer hours. It's, everyone's at capacity. We're going to hire another tradesperson. And yes, that will bring their total workload down, but creates capacity that you then will fill with, yes, quoting and scheduling, yeah?
100%. Yep, that's exactly where we're at now. We're all pretty much at a level where we can't really do too much more. We're not crazy under the pump because I want to make sure we don't hire when we're extremely busy because that's obviously the wrong time. But we want to put on that extra tradie. So then, as like you said, we got that capacity and we can keep growing and pushing forward with the plans to automate everything.
Amazing. So let's go back because obviously we've gone from overwhelmed Chris 2 years ago, just had your kid. Was it 2 years ago that you've had this realization and then it's broken through into this mindset shift. And from there, you've been able to put a lot into place. So I'd love to go back to the start and just be like, well, talk us through what it's like for anyone that might not be in business yet, or they're just starting out, or someone who's obviously, it might be stuck in that sole trader cycle of like super busy, then super quiet, super busy, super quiet. Talk us through your experience in your trade, electrical, what life was like and sort of a typical week for you.
So a typical week for me, this is obviously before starting to change how I saw everything, would literally just be work to the point of getting up really early, going out, be on the tools all day, didn't really have anyone or any structure in place in the office side of things for a lot of the office work to get done. So I'm answering the calls, I'm on the tools, not getting things done as fast as I could have been, even though probably getting it done faster than a lot of other people could have been. Because I'm answering calls and I'm trying to teach apprentices, that's all getting taken away. Then I'd be looking at jobs in the afternoon because I wouldn't be scheduling to look at them during the day because obviously I'd be on site. And then I've got to quote these jobs, which means I'm quoting them in the afternoon. So my days just revolved around work and they were crazy busy. And it led me just to never be able to switch off. Just always be thinking about work. I could be down the pub with a couple of mates having some beers, and I am always got something in the back of my mind thinking about work.
It's the reality, isn't it? And it is, even when you grow, like you must still feel a little bit of a sense of that, but you've obviously developed an ability to, and some processes to be able to switch off. Like I know for myself now, like I still get into trends where there might be a lot of pressure at work because of some situation. You might have a couple of people leave, or you might have a cash flow issue, or you might have something pretty major and you're pulled into it. And then you've got to learn to manage your own time and your mindset throughout that period. So what have you learned rather than scaling and creating capacity, which is the ultimate solution, because then you've got time and then you can fit in all those things that we're about to say. But what is the thing that you go to when you're overwhelmed and stressed now that you didn't know back then?
be honest, I think one of the things that has helped me with that is now I've got a second work phone. Well, I've got a second a mobile phone, so I've got a personal and a work. And what I do is when I'm literally at the stage of ready to shut off from work, I mute that phone, I turn it upside down, and I don't look at it again, because a lot of my problems with that is whatever those problems or stresses may be, every 2 minutes you then pull out your phone and you're quickly searching at something, or you're Googling something, or you're doing something related to that issue, and you can never then let it go. So my way to deal with that, and what I've learned, is that you can let go. Business is business. It's going to be there tomorrow. People are going to still be there. They might be a little bit more upset the day before because you haven't got back to them at 5, 6, 7 o'clock. But being able to really just turn the phone off, mute it, upside down, out of sight, out of mind, has maybe been able to deal with those situations a hell of a lot easier.
Man, what I love what you've said. I used to do the same thing. Like, I would walk in, put my phone in the drawer next to my bed, like away, turned off, and I wouldn't touch it. And if I needed to, for whatever reason, like because it's something I had to do, I would have to leave and actively turn it on, wait for the phone to turn on. It became like a resistance to get the phone and check it. So it just didn't happen. So that's really powerful. And I think, you know, what I've learned along this same line is if you allow inputs to come in, but you don't have the space to do the output to get it done, that's when you get stuck in that spiral of can't stop thinking about it no matter what. So do you have a process before you switch the phone off just to make sure everything's out of your head when you get home?
Yeah, for sure. Making sure that I'm putting it all down. So I'm using Microsoft Teams and Planner at the moment, and anything that's in my head that I'm questioning or querying, I'm making sure that it's going down. So it's out of my head, I can forget it. And when I open up in the morning, it's all there again. Because otherwise I'm constantly thinking, I've got to do that, got to quote that PowerPoint, got to put those lights in, I've got to message that guy back. And then in the morning, like, okay, what did I need to do? I need to do that. And you just go crazy. And you end up missing a couple of things anyway.
The brain dump.
The brain dump, literally, yeah. I'm just getting it all out. So as soon as it's in my mind, put it on paper, and then I don't have to try to remember it.
Love it, man. Love it. What if something comes up, like you've obviously brain dumped, put your phone away, and something comes up, but it's only one thing. What do you do then?
I literally, if I've got my personal phone, because like I said, my work phone, all of my Teams and everything is on my work phone, I don't have it. I'll literally get my personal email. I'll just send my business email, a quick email saying, hey, this, send. And then that's my brain dump. I forget about it. It's in my inbox. I can let go of it. I don't have to try to remember it.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. All right. And just on that point of like clients getting a little bit upset, do you find they're really upset or not really? Like if you call them in the morning, they're not really upset, are they? Because people respect the boundaries, right?
I think they're fine. And I feel like it's with clients. You'll tend to have clients, especially because we do project stuff, so you'll have a client for a lot longer period. If they understand and see that you're starting to, get back to them at 8 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night or 5 o'clock at night, they'll keep hassling you at that time because there's less during the day for them to do and there's more focus on being able to get answers back. So because I've even got some builders that were like that, they would message at 5, 6, 7 o'clock because they know that the workday's done. It's easier to talk. There's less pressure. Once they started realizing they're calling and nothing's happening, they kind of just contact me during the business hours, which was good.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's, being clear with your expectations, not only with your team, but with your clients as well. Like if you're clear from the start, this is the hours you can contact me. I actually turn my phone, on divert at this time. So just leave me a message. I'll get back to you first thing in the morning. And if that expectation's there, feel free to send me a message. Like you don't want to stop them sending you messages, but they know that you'll get back to them first thing in the morning. The expectation is clear. They're not going to get upset when you're calling them back in the morning, not messaging them at 8 o'clock at night.
Exactly. They understand. And that's what I've done. I've told people that, the weekends we don't have my phone, or if we're on a shutdown for Christmas break, we don't have our phones on, we're shut down. Here's the emergency contacts if you need to get something done quickly. This is kind of our time. And people do respect it to a degree. There's obviously still people that think that they can reach you any time of the day, but majority of the people do respect it and it makes it a little bit easier, especially to switch off.
Yeah, 100%. That's so good. So what have you learned in terms of, like, you've obviously built your team now to 6. What have you learned in terms of the process of putting on new staff and bringing them into the culture of finishing on time, not working on weekends. Do you find that your team really appreciates that? And how do you make sure that they respect those boundaries? And how do you develop a culture of performance in that time frame so that they're, not dragging their feet and really getting good efficiencies on the job, but knowing that they'll get home on time?
I think one of the big things that comes into play here is obviously that team culture, and that the guys would look at me not so much as a boss, but more of a leader or in a leadership role. So, we have fun when we're on site, but at the end of the day, we've got certain things that have to be done. So I'm still on top of the guys to make sure that deadlines can be met. But we've got a good relationship that we bounce off each other, that they understand that I'm not going to be standing there with a whip 24/7 going, how come this isn't done? How come that's not done? I've got a really strong belief that I want them to take pride in their work, and I'm not about them just finishing it as fast as they can. And I think that they actually respect that, because they're like, I can actually take my time and do a neat job rather than getting hounded because it needs to be finished to meet a deadline to make as much money as possible. A couple of other things that I do that they love is every second Friday, we do a stock up down at the storage shed, and then we sit down at a local cafe. And for about 40 minutes, I shout them breakfast and we talk about anything but work. And this is on a Friday morning. And the half an hour they start earlier, the half an hour they finish earlier in the day. So they're knocking off at 2:30 on that Friday, and they love it. They can, that really helped build the team culture, and it just helped them build a lot of respect for me as well. So when I ask them to do things, they're doing it. They're not lying. They're really trustworthy. I think it all comes as a package.
Yeah, that's really great, mate. And how do you manage profitability in that sense? Because that's obviously costing you a lot of money, and the bigger your team gets, you've got your cost of operation. So if it's, let's just say your cost of operation per hour is $110 per tradesperson, you've got 6 people, that's $600 an hour. That's 2 hours, it's $1,500, nearly $1,200 for 2 hours of not working. How do you manage that? Like, are you seeing your team performs better overall over the other fortnight to make up for that loss? Like, how do you mentalize that for yourself so that you feel confident that this is a good thing for your team?
Just in terms of how they are at work, no one's really coming to work dragging their feet. They all want to be there. It's a happy workplace and everyone's happy to work there. And I feel that things work more efficiency because they've got that actual attitude, compared to drilling them with deadlines, saying that we've got to meet this. I've taken this and it's costing me money and we're doing breakfast here. You guys have to make sure that you can bust your ass and you get things done. Like on that Friday, I don't have to tell the guys, but none of them take a break during that day and they punch through. And they do all of that on their own accord, obviously, because of the work culture that we built up.
That's really cool, man. And one thing I've really struggled with for a long time, and we've got our way of doing this now, but tradespeople who have worked with other companies and they have been under the whip in terms of management, we want you in, we want you out, just get in, get out. We want you to do as many jobs every day. Don't care how well it's done, skip corners if you have to. There's a lot of businesses out there that have that attitude because effectively, I think it's because they've never learned how to price properly. And so they've actually got to drill their team to actually make any money. But the other way around is actually learning how to price properly and allowing for time for the team to actually perform well. But to change the mindset of someone that's come from a company like that into a company like yours, how do you make them feel comfortable taking their time and actually doing a professional job when they've spent maybe their whole apprenticeship and maybe a couple of years as a tradesperson under the whip, under that really terrible management? How do you help shift that attitude to be more around the professional, finish?
So that's a good question, because that's pretty much most of the employees that I get come on have been exactly that. They would, we take a lot of care in our switchboards. I want all of the internal cabling very neat. And some guys, when they come on, they're just like, man, I would have been blasted if this happened. But, I pretty much brief them, and a lot of the people have already come to me looking at our socials, looking at our website, see the standard of work that we do, and they bounce off the guys on site that already have employed the most, because they're the ones actually saying, look, Chris is the type of guy that if there's 2 ways to do it, and doing it the really neat, better way is going to save, it's just going to be, just that little bit more time, but it's going to be a much better product. Do the better product. Don't cut the corner because you're going to save the time. Just take pride in it. Do you know what I mean? So I feel that rather than me explaining what I want, they learn and bond from the team more because they can see them doing it. They carry through the standards. Probably takes people about 6 months to finally slow down, but then they'll slow down and then they'll realize, okay, they want things done neat. And I'll inspect things and I'll say, look, that's really good. Good go. I'll let you have a bit of a plan on how you want to do it. Let's tackle it like this next time. Let's try to sharpen it up, make it a little bit neater. And then they take pride in that next step and try to do it even better again and outdo themselves.
I love that, man. So cool. So with this, in terms of developing your team member into a more professional tradesperson, going from that really rushy, like just get it done, throw the cables in, just make it fast as you can, to making it neat. It does take time. And I've learned, like, people who are doing that for the first time take extremely long. Like, it takes a lot longer to do it well when you haven't done it. But as you do it more often, you get efficient, you get really fast, and you can do it neat fast. So you can eventually get to that. What things have you implemented just to make sure that when those people are learning, it's not either costing your customer a lot of money because they're not at the level you need them to be, but also at the same time, it's not costing you hundreds of dollars just because they're trying to do it to the standard you want? What's something that you've implemented to help with that?
Pretty much just before they're actually starting the task, trying to give them as much information as we possibly can on how it's going to be. So, if we've got a wall of transformers or drivers that have to be neatly screwed together, they're going to know, okay, we want them 50 mil apart. We want them all horizontal. We need all of the same ones grouped. We've got to measure it on the floor so they can get everything planned in their head ready rather than they're going, here's a wall, make sure it's neat, see you later, and I run off. We try to just make sure that we've got as much as possible. Again, it comes to bouncing back off the staff that have already done it, asking questions. Hey, look, I'm thinking about this is the way to tackle it. And they'll say yes or no, or we've done it like this, or yeah, we think that'd be good, run it past Chris. So we try to get as much of a plan together at the start before we then implement it, because if you're standing there and you're doing it, then you stand back and then you look, then you take it off and you do it, and then you stand back and have another look. Kind of like, here's a couple of photos of existing work. This is what looks good. We'll map it out like this. Go get it. And I feel that helps.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. When you say they talk to the other team members, what communication are you using? How do they do that? Or are they on site together? Or are they using some communication online tool?
So a bit of both. So they'll either be on site together, and now we used to just be all talking through WhatsApp, but now we've actually jumped off to Microsoft Teams. So we've got heaps of we've got technical chats, we've got general chats, and they can jump on that, and then they can talk about whatever they need to in their specific chats.
That's really good. Yeah, and people can quickly jump on and give a support question and support each other.
100%.
Separating the chats is really good too, so that people aren't getting interrupted throughout the day with things that aren't relevant to them, right?
Yeah, and like when we post on certain projects within Teams, you can tag the people that you need to be notified. So you can have a general post that you might want everyone to see, but tag the 2 or 3 people that it needs to notify because they need to see. So it works really well.
So while we're still on the topic of developing tradespeople, and maybe an apprentice is listening or a tradesperson is working for someone, what would you say to these people who have been under poor management, who have been taught to push, get in, get out, rush, these sort of things? What would you like to say to those tradespeople to encourage them to seek out, a better company that would support them?
Reach out to me. We're hiring. Definitely. I think, especially being an apprentice, I think the biggest thing that you have to be is a sponge, and you have to be able to take in everything that your mentor's given you. And if you're working in an environment when it's just about making deadlines, slapping it in, don't take pride in what you do, it's probably not the best fit in getting you or giving you the potential that you need to be able to outperform and outshine everyone else. And really just love the job at the end of the day. So I would definitely say that you've got to make sure that where you are, you feel like part of a team and you're not just a number slugging away to make someone money, essentially.
For those people who have finished their apprenticeship, they've missed out on that opportunity to be with someone who does support them and train them and take the time to help them understand how to do it right. What do you think tradespeople could do that are working? They've missed out on the opportunity to be with someone. Now they're out there and they're like, you're a tradesperson, you should know. So go and do your job. Like now they're working for that company. Like, what do you think those tradespeople could do to upskill to be able to, grow when they're now expected to be able to do the job properly?
Yeah, for sure. So with my company, we'll have people come on because we specialize in the smart home industry. There's sometimes guys that have never seen a smart home or worked on a smart home before. So yes, they're a qualified electrician and you should know how to run a cable for a light switch, even if it's Cat 5, Cat 6 or 240 volt. But at the end of the day, if you haven't been exposed to it, there's always opportunities to learn and grow within my company. And if you don't know something, there's just a conversation. And then we can teach you how to do that and take you on board. So I feel like you kind of still need to be in some sort of environment where, yes, okay, you've got a ticket. You don't know everything that I'm assuming you might. Let's train you and get you up to scratch. So then you know exactly what we do it and how we do it here. I think someone just needs to be able to give you a little bit of time and investment to bring you where you be. Because you could be a gun electrician or any tradie, for an example. But if you're not given that opportunity to actually show yourself, because you've never been showed that at the start, I don't think that really comes back on you. I think everyone deserves a chance.
And I think this is the great thing as business owners like yourself and for me at Response Electricians and all of the companies that have now developed teams and space and, put on a team to support the business owner and who is either in the ops management space or higher. When you're at a business level like that, you can give the time towards training and development. You can invest money and time, but if you're a tradesperson listening to this or a smaller business owner, it's hard to give that because you are so overwhelmed, like Chris has been saying at the start of this. I was the same as Chris. Like when you're a sole trader, you are always busy doing something, and it's not training and developing your tradespeople because you just don't have the time and you don't have the money to not be doing the other things. And so it's like creating the space and capacity in your team allows you to do that training and development. And that's why I think a lot of people fear. It's like, I don't have the time to put on a tradesperson, or what if I don't have the work, or what if I don't have, the money to put on a tradesperson? What was your experience like putting on that and creating time for yourself to then have the time to train them and give the space to be able to support them?
Crazy. You don't realize until you realize that you don't have to wear all of the hats. You can offload tasks. You can get the tradies to do what you need to do on site. You can then step back and focus on so many other aspects. And obviously the training being one, like where I'm going crazy with Loom videos at the moment, especially for all of the integration side of things, of just doing these Loom videos and processes, how to just do all of this integration. So essentially someone can come on board and slowly learn how to do things because I've had the time to be able to put it into retraining the staff. And if I was still on the tools with two guys, there's no way, unless they were on site with me, I wouldn't be showing them anything new. There'd be no chance.
Yeah. And even with your full-time admin now, your full-time VA, people have the reverse psychology, I think, where it's, I'll create the processes, then I'll hire the person. But it's like, you'll never find the time. Like, they're like, when I find the time, I'll create the processes, then I'll hire the person. It's like, hire the person, create the time, now you can do the processes. It's a bit of a tricky one to overcome for people, but it's time and time again, the guys at the academy, like we see each other just doing it and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
It's exactly with the latest VA hire that I've just done. It's not like I've got every single system mapped out that they can take under their wing and just go, bang, we've done absolutely everything. It's done. You just got to hire them and you've got to make the systems and then you just got to roll with it. And then with that, she's now going to be doing X amount of tasks. I've got more times. I can make more systems. I'm going to be going crazy with systems.
Systematic, man.
That's it.
I remember with my first VA, I hired someone that wasn't very good at English and it was super hard. Like it was so hard to get them to do things the way I needed to, but I would spend my time trying to build a process that was so rigid that it almost made it impossible to make it a mistake. That took a lot of time and effort, but I saw that as an asset. Like if I build this, then they can do it and I won't have to do it anymore. So I saw this as like, yes, I'm spending time doing it, but I'm almost like building an asset that's going to pay back forever. So when that person left and a new person come in, guess how easy it was for that person to come in? You know, even though it might have burnt the original relationship because I was still learning, I was trying to figure it out. I never tried to ever believe that I knew everything, but I'll be quick to adapt and I'll quick to change and try and improve things for everyone. And sometimes that came at the cost of like, we're changing things too often. We're doing this. I don't like that. And then that person wouldn't be liking their environment anymore. But when they decided to leave or it parted ways, new person come in, it was so good for them because all of that hard work that we went through built the asset that the new person gets to come into. So have you had much experience with churn in your team yet where people leave and a new person comes into a better system and they're like, wow, this is amazing? Or even just your latest tradespeople compared to your first tradesperson?
Definitely. So I'm lucky in the sense that we don't have a very big high turnover of staff. So, you know, I'm averagely keeping staff on for 5 or 6 years or so, which is generally pretty good. But I found that, especially, let's go right at the start, before I had a job management software, even just putting job management software in, getting my guy to learn it, going through all of that heartache, and then putting on my second guy with that system already in place. He took it on. He was like, mate, this is great. And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
It was so hard with him. And same thing as I'm going through. Look, I feel for the guys because sometimes, you know, if you're not that tech savvy and you're getting thrown with all of these new systems that you got to do and new technologies every 3 weeks and all this, it can be a little bit daunting. But man, for the new people that start, they would walk in and they just be like, man, you are so organized. And I've had that comment from some of my staff before. I've got even more systems in place now. It's like, wow, we've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, how cool. Yeah, and that's time, right? And that's you like allowing yourself to grow. Like, and growth comes with pain. It's like going to the gym and you tear your muscles and it hurts, right? It hurts to grow, but then you'll grow back stronger as a result of that. And I think as long as we like embrace that feeling of growth and that it will be hard. It's not going to be easy. Growth isn't easy, but it results in an easier future. You know, at some point when you want to plateau and just take more profit, or, you know, there is always going to be a trade-off with profit and growth. But, you know, growth drives profit, and profit you'd never be able to achieve with a smaller business. And so I think, you know, that's what people need to start to appreciate as you start to move forward. I think guys might be listening going, it's just too hard or it's too painful or whatever. But what would you say to those guys?
It seems like it is. You know, like when I was putting on tradies, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to put on this tradie. And then all I'd think about was, oh, how am I going to pay this guy this amount every week? And after the first week, you forget about it. Like it's hard to think about growing and all of the costs and all of the extra work that you have to do it. But you've really just got to jump in and like we were saying before, you build into that capacity and everything goes into it. So not only there are obviously a couple of times it's going to be very tough and you are going to be very busy doing things, but at the end of it, you can get so much more time out of it because you've just been willing to take that step and actually grow. You just can't be scared of it. It's very daunting. It seems like it can be but what if I lose all of this money and I lose all of this work? And like when we grew, we actually lost a couple of builders because we've had to revisit all of our pricing and all of our structures and everything. We were out of their range and they're like, nah, we don't want you. We want someone nice and cheap again. So they went out and sourced the cheap person. So your clients will grow, your business will grow, your work will grow, but it's just leap in and then try to give the hats to someone else and get a bit more time. It's worth it on the other end. You will get there.
Great message, man. And you spoke to a really important point I'd love to talk about, which is the fear of putting your prices up. So when those builders left, I know those clients. They're clients that want the cheapest. They want it done fast. They want to minimize their own cost. They want you in and out. They complain all the time. So when you put your prices up and you sort of push them out because they wouldn't pay you what you're worth, what did you experience? What was that experience for you?
Kind of just like, all right, well, they're gone now. Where's the next lead? And you just do whatever you need to then build that capacity again. And I can't even say that it was, you know, X amount of cold calls or X amount of coffees, so to speak. That's what we'll talk about with Alice, going around just networking, having more coffees, or reaching out to other industries or trades and saying, hey, is that builder looking for work or knocking on real estates, whatever it may be, you've got the capacity there again. So when I didn't have the capacity to fit on a new builder, keeping up with these builders that I wasn't that too inclined to work for because of the cost reasons and obviously everything else, once they're gone, you've got that capacity and you actually realize how many more opportunities come to your door that you filter out because you didn't have the time to do them before. That's probably a massive one.
Yeah. And the other thing, just talking about growing as a company and the systems and you being a better company and worth more in terms of value, I think clients even, they lose appreciation for how good you're getting. They'll just always expect you to charge what you do forever. Don't ever put your prices up. And they don't appreciate that you're actually improving. But when you go to a new client, say if they go away because you do put your prices up, and a new client comes in with all these systems and the team and everything else that comes along with it, the new clients are so appreciative. Have you found that?
100%. Definitely. And they're very impressed. They're just kind of like, wow, like we've never seen this before. It's like, you're an electrician, but you're giving us all of this, compatibility statements and weekly progress reports and all this different stuff. You're like, whoa, it just seems like it's so organized and your response is quick in the office. And it's because it's just they're not, like you said, focused on you used to be charging me $90 an hour back in the day, but now you've gone up to bloody $150 an hour. How is this working? They don't look at that because they don't know the past. They're just looking at the present going, well, I'm very impressed. Let's get it done.
And they didn't know that you were actually paying them to go and do the jobs while you're slaving away and actually losing money. Like that's the stuff you don't realize when you haven't done your cost of operations, when you haven't properly priced out for profit. That's the things that, every academy member that comes in realizes, like, holy crap, I've been losing money. I'm not just not making money or breaking even. I'm actually paying people to go and do the work for them.
Literally.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a big wake up. It's a big wake up.
Yeah, cool, man. Hey, just want to quickly speak to your experience coming out to Byron. So you came out a couple of months ago to Byron. We did a strategic planning day together. That was awesome. Like I loved learning about your vision and your goals and what you're going to do as a family, and to work with both of you, and working towards like what you both needed, your family needed, and the business and how that's going to fuel that lifestyle. Have you planned your trip yet at the end of the year?
We haven't planned the trip because we've got the newborn coming in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's right. You got the newborn.
We're going on a whole nother holiday.
You're going on a baby holiday.
I plan to have my 2 weeks off, non-negotiable, which didn't happen last time.
That's right. That's what it was. Yeah. Non-negotiable, not checking in.
Yeah, that's it.
With that, what was that experience like for you? Like, obviously, coming out to Byron, immersing yourself in strategy. What was that experience like for you and your business?
I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved that day. And what we got out of it was just so much clarity in terms of these are the operational parts of your business that need to run all the time. And these are the ones that we have to focus and systemize on to make sure that if I wanted to, I could go on that holiday to Europe or whatever it may be. Without that strategic day, we knew a lot of things that we had to do in this, but like I've got them mapped out on a lucid chart, a really clear timeline of what systems I need, what systems I have, what systems are currently in place and working fine. And it was all thanks to that day. Like it just opened up so much, and being able to bounce off the couple of other guys that were there that day as well, and just see what they're going through and kind of meet and have a little huddle and a group discussion of how this can affect us all was epic. It was great. I was that fired up. I did not sleep that night.
You were out in the town at the beachy.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to say that. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, it was crazy. I took a lot away from that day, and so did my partner. She learned a lot about the inside of the business as well, because she's not involved in the business. She is obviously my COO, and I go to her for certain things, and she's my spell check wizard because I'm a little bit, maybe not the best in that department. But it was great for her to actually have a insight into the business and say, okay, well, if this is where we've got to be, this is how we can get there, and realize that there is, there's more to being a business owner than just stressing out every day going, oh, we can't handle it. I've got to do everything.
Yeah. I think for me as well, like when I brought Frankie into like exactly what was happening in the business, and we talked about what she needed, what I needed, how is the business going to help us with the family? Like, how are we going to live the lifestyle we want? That's when everything changed. And that's why in that day, that's the start. Like, we kick off with that, because to have your partner there with you and to really get you guys to really commit together so that not only you get what you need, she gets what she needs, and your family gets how you show up together as parents. I think it's the most important part to then set the scene for everything else that comes for the rest of the day. And I'd love for you to speak to maybe some of the members that are considering it, because we are coming to end of tax time. What would you say to those guys? They can, claim that on tax. I'd love to get more people out here. We want to help you. And I love spending time with you guys as well.
So obviously the tax benefit's great. Do it. I was jumping actually and R in terms of the costs and the tax and do I want to put it on or off and that type of stuff. But claiming on the tax would be one thing, but I think it's just what you get out of it is second to none. And being face-to-face with all of you guys down there at TSA, it's just a completely different feel in terms of how personal this is actually to your business. Like when I'm talking about it was catered to our business, when we went in with Chantel or with Alice or with Kirk and we were discussing the finer details of what we needed to do, it was 100% about beachside and everything to do with beachside. From networking numbers, from accounting numbers, it was just very, very, very tailored. And it's just an experience that you're going to gain so much from. I couldn't recommend it enough. I'm honestly like doing it once a year, I would say would be like, yeah, bring it on. I'd sign up.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, look forward to having you back next year. I guess you get to see how passionate our whole team is as well about helping the trade and construction industry, as well.
Definitely. And like I said, when you're face-to-face, like it's obviously we do all of the Zoom calls and it's great. We can get on with you guys. But when we're just face-to-face, it's just a whole nother wave of emotions. And it is. You guys are really invested in our businesses. And it's great because it really gives you motivation to just get out there and kill it.
Bro, it's been so cool watching you grow in the academy, man. So appreciate you coming on. There was so much gold in this episode, and I hope the listeners are super appreciative. Reach out to Chris on social media if you want to check in with him and find out more. And guys, on the Tradies app, reach out to Chris for sure. Send him a DM, check in, say hi, and man, I'll see you in the next session.
Perfect. Thanks, man.
Catch you later.
See you later, guys.
Hey guys, it's Greg here. Thanks for listening to the podcast. For me, growing my trade business was extremely hard. It cost me millions of dollars, so much time trying to figure out what was the right way to do business, and emotionally feeling like I'm letting myself, my partner, and my family down by not knowing how to run my business properly. But I kept working hard and overcame those challenges and created systems and solutions that minimized those mistakes for myself and my team as we grew. Now, Response Electricians, go and Google it. We've got over 1,700 reviews on Google. We've won awards like Electrician of the Year and Service Business of the Year, both state and nationally. I sat on the National Board of Directors for Master Electricians Australia for 2 years, created a real solid awareness of the industry and the construction industry and the challenges you face. And the business runs autonomously over in Perth while I live my life working on the academy in Byron Bay. And I help people like you create freedom from your business as well. Now, having coached and trained thousands of trade business owners, we've developed the Freedom Fighters program. It's a guided pathway in a hybrid training and coaching system that provides you with the right information and steps to take to create freedom, not in years, but now. You can actually create more freedom from your business sooner than you think. So click the link and have a free strategy session with one of our academy experts to fully understand how you can create more time freedom from your trade business, generating more profit, better culture, and more growth in less time.